Welcome back, everyone. It is episode 9 of the GXP Deadcast. This was the third episode of season 6 of The Walking Dead, titled Thank You. So yeah, that episode happened. It was... I don't know what to think of it, just because... Let's just throw it out there. They made it look like Glenn died, and I think it's up for debate whether or not he actually is dead. What are your thoughts on it? So, to set it up, what happened? They're down an alley, him and Nicholas, of all people, and it's a dead end, and they have nowhere to go. Like, they tried everything. They end up jumping on top of this dumpster, and then, like, Nicholas is just freaking out, and he just goes through, like, I don't know.
He's losing his composure completely throughout this episode. Yeah, but Nicholas, he's just going nuts, where, like, there's these scenes, and you can kind of tell throughout this entire episode, because it kind of takes place at the beginning, where it just takes off right where the first episode left off, where they hear the horn. Yeah, where they hear the horn, and you can kind of tell something's off with Nick when he's seeing these walkers. Like, there's like scenes where the camera kind of pans in on his face, and you can kind of tell, like, you almost hear like voices like that are going on in his head. And I even said from the get-go, I was telling, Oliver and Brandon, which Brandon's actually asleep right now, so that's why he's not joining us tonight.
Yeah, I didn't even introduce Mark Hicks next to me. Just the two of us today. Brandon's sick.
We miss you.
But it's going to be the two of us. It's going to be an interesting podcast.
Yeah. Should be good, but...
we haven't done that before.
Yeah, essentially it starts out, shows, Nick kind of freaking out a little bit. And everyone's kind of doing their own thing, which we can kind of get into more detail. We'll get into the important stuff, because there's a lot of important stuff that's going on. But this episode probably, I just want to put that, this episode hit me in the heart hard. Like, I was like... Yeah,
it was funny, because at the beginning of the episode, you're like, man, I love Glenn so much.
Yeah, you do. He's to me, he's like the only human left, I feel like. The guy that really cares about, helping people out and giving them second chances. And a lot of people, especially in the world they live in now, it's all about survival. So it's like, if you're weak, you die. And Glenn's like, well, if you're weak, I'm going to give you a chance to prove yourself so that you can be strong and that you can keep up with us. And, even with Nick, like, he's gave Nick a second chance after he tried to kill him, like kill him in the last season. So, it's pretty dramatic when they got on top of the dumpsters. Nick was freaking out, had like this 1 minute scene that felt like an eternity, where he's just looking at all these walkers' faces, and he turns to Glenn, and Glenn turns to him and grabs him. He's like, dude, he's like, wake up. And he just looks at Glenn, he says, thank you. And he takes the gun and like blows his fucking brains out.
Like, not only does he just blow his brains out, it shows you from like his point of view looking at Glenn, and like Glenn's like, you just see a shock, and then like a splatter of just blood on his face. It was crazy. It was gnarly.
Yeah.
And then his body falls down, and it takes Glenn with him.
Yeah, and like Glenn kind of grabs onto him too, and all we know is it shows Nick's body fall on top of Glenn. So we're assuming Glenn's like underneath Nick, and you see a bunch of walkers pulling out intestines and stuff, which obviously my first thought was, holy shit, Glenn's probably... Glenn's fucking dead.
No.
Yeah, no. The more I think about it, I don't think he's actually dead. I hope not, because Glenn's probably my favorite character in the show.
Yeah, at the end of the episode, I wasn't fully convinced he was dead, but once The Talking Dead started, and they've never done this to any other character before, whenever they die, they're straight up like, all right, they're dead, but they're like, oh, we'll let you know about the fate of Glenn at the end of the episode, or they usually have the characters on, and he wasn't on. So like, I don't think he's dead personally. The way they're being so cagey about it and like leaving it up in the air like that, I think he's gonna come back.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, because
what are your theories on ways that he could get out of it?
So we're not talking about like 10 walkers here. We're talking about like hundreds of them just surrounded. Yeah. They're in this corridor where they have like these maybe like 15-foot gated fences surrounding them, and they have this garbage can, very much like Resident Evil. Resident Evil 2, when you're walking through a bunch of like small alleyways. Yeah, it's very like that. But I don't know how we could get out. Obviously our theory was, the only thing I could think of is all this blood's going to be on him from freaking Nick maybe he can just like pull, you know, a Carol or a Michonne in that case. Was Michonne the one that did it too? Where she covered with blood?
Done it, and I believe Glenn's done it too.
I feel like almost everyone's almost done it now, but
Glenn did it in the first season.
Yeah.
Michonne did it in 3. I want to say that's how she got to the prison. And then Carol did it at Terminus when she went and fucked shit up.
It was sweet.
Yeah.
It's hard to say though. I mean, honestly, I don't know, and that's what sucks because it's like they didn't tie any knots at the end of this episode. They kind of left it open, and obviously you're right about Talking Dead. They didn't introduce him, but I think and
they always done that.
Yeah,
every character that's ever died.
But I don't think they wanted to make it known that. I think they want people to have hope still that maybe he is still alive. But one thing that's very evident after this episode's over, nobody's safe right now anymore. Everyone's up for grabs because. There's even a scene in here where Rick's, you know, loading up in the RV, driving around, and all of a sudden the wolves that broke into Terminus in the last episode, the guys that stole the gun, where Morgan beat the shit out and told them to leave, they tried to kill Rick, and Rick fucking annihilated them, all of them. It was a beautiful scene too. I'm glad
I'm really glad they showed that, just because I think the theme so far that I'm feeling with this season is that, you know, if you don't make the right choice now, you're gonna have to deal with the consequences later.
Yeah. And
Morgan made that choice stupidly to let that group go, and then when he let that group go, one of the dudes took a gun, and that's the same gun that he tried to shoot Rick with.
Almost killed Rick.
And almost killed him, yeah. And you know that could have been completely avoided had Morgan just, you know, did the right thing and just killed them all.
It's the truth with Glenn too, you know.
Yeah, Glenn, you know, that bit him in the ass.
Yeah, he could have killed. If he would have killed that guy, they probably wouldn't have been in that pickle in the first place, and he probably would have been with Michonne and everybody. And who knows? Maybe more people would have been alive right now.
Yeah,
because a lot of Alexandrians are dying. Honestly,
I'm pretty sure only the dude that played Dre is alive and out of that group, and that's it.
Well, there's the other black guy that's got the bullet in his leg from.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but then that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and he doesn't seem. I don't have it. I'm not buying he's going to live much longer. So, you know,
they're probably going to get in another situation where he's going to have to sacrifice himself.
Yeah. But it's this whole season's been great so far. Honestly, I was kind of skeptical after the first episode because it was a lot slower than I anticipated. But man, so much shit is going on right now.
Even in the second episode, you know, Deanna came to the realization that, you know, Rick was telling her all along they need weapons inside, you know, inside Alexandria. And she's like, no. And then once they got attacked, she was like, oh shit, you know, he was right.
Yeah.
And I feel like Rick's just full of like, I told you so, is, you know, everything he says that's going to happen.
It's coming true right now.
Yeah. And which is just the worst, you know, of everything. One thing I thought I realized too after the second episode was last season Carol was you know, pretending to be, you know, a housewife or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Which is, you know, she, in that sense you can say she was being like a sheep in wolf's clothing.
Yep.
And then she was literally in wolf's clothing.
Exactly.
I thought that was ironic.
No, holy crap, dude! I didn't even think about that. Straight up, that's crazy, man. Yeah. Dude, that's crazy. Sort of metaphors right there.
Yeah.
Things they're trying to do.
Yeah, it's cool. And the things that the writers are very intelligent and, you know, doing things like that and putting these small little touches. But yeah, so I guess we'll start going through. We kind of jumped around on this episode.
Just to the main parts, but
yeah.
There's not we can just fill in the spaces, really.
Yeah, so it starts off with them.
The whole group together, really, besides Daryl and Arnold.
And then they split up, and I can't exactly figure out why they split up. I know Rick was supposed to pick them up in the RV. They have, what's his name? They have Daryl and then Sasha
and Arnold.
Is his name Arnold?
Arnold, man, redhead. You don't remember?
It's
Arnold.
I always forget his name. I don't know why. Yeah, they're still leading the horde. You know, that ones that haven't staggered away.
There's still a shitload of them. So
yeah,
they showed like this awesome view, which we were hoping they did in the Fear of the Walking Dead. They fucking bird's eye view.
Oh, bird's eye view, yeah.
At the end, I was like, why didn't they have that with LA? Dude?
I know, yeah.
But anyway, we'll get back.
It shows the scale of, like, you know, just how many.
Yeah, like all the crazy shit that was going on.
And they do that a lot in this episode because, like, even in the part where Rick, you know, he's trying to start the RV.
Yeah.
And it can't, and they go in a bird's eye view again, and, like, you see all the.
Oh yeah, it's great. Yeah, no, they're using it That's a great effect, especially like in the scenario they're in right now, where there's just shitloads of hordes of zombie everywhere.
There's a lot of zombies, a lot of zombie deaths too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it starts out. The Alexandrians basically all go with Glenn and Michonne. And I think they're going straight. They were going to go straight back to Alexandria.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to make sure everything's safe. And
yeah. While Rick was supposed to give a ride, once they are done leading them away, I think they were just going to
come back.
Yeah. So yeah, then like right after they do that, I think Rick sets aside Michonne and Glenn and is like, listen, if they slow you down, don't stop for them. Keep going. You have to keep going. And they didn't want to listen to him because they're trying to have a heart and take care of the Alexandrians. But if they kept going, they would have been fine, Glenn and Michonne. But yeah, and then we'll just call him Dre right now. I forgot his name again. But
we can find it out real quick. You can keep going though.
Yeah, but Dre, he hears what Rick says, and he just has an attitude the rest of the episode. And then like there's this dude right before they split up, this dude that comes up to Rick and he's like, "This is all your fault. We wouldn't be in this situation if you made us come out here and do all this." And then I don't even remember what Rick says to him, but it doesn't matter because like a minute later, he's just getting chomped in the neck by a zombie and the blood just like squirting out.
That guy deserved to die. And it's funny. It's like, we kind of know those people are going to get like just killed.
As soon as you started saying something to Rick, I was like, you talk shit, you're going to die. And then, right, they don't even waste time getting rid of him.
And by the way, Dre's name is Heath. That's what it is.
Yeah, Heath, okay.
But yeah, there's another good part. So obviously when they're breaking off, Rick's doing his thing where he's just running, which if you watch The Talking Dead, it showed a preview last week of him just running and ripping this knife out of the zombie and just slice him, which was great. But he's doing that thing. Meanwhile, Michonne and Glenn and that group's making their way into this town. And they said they were about like 30 minutes ahead of the zombies. And at this point, I don't know if did you touch on? I don't think you touched on what's the name of the black guy getting shot, because I think it was the kid's name was like Mangus.
Yeah,
or something.
Sturgis.
Asshole.
So yeah, they split, they part ways, and then they come up to like a small little horde. It wasn't that big of a deal, but like
really not.
Glenn and Michonne were like, hey, stay back, we'll take care of this.
Yeah, don't use
shoot your weapons. So they're doing the business while they're with the zombies. And then one of them starts shooting. Oh, Sturgis was the one that he tries to shoot a zombie like an idiot, and he shoots that black dude in the leg. And then others start shooting after that, and it became a shit show. And then he just takes off at the end. He's a little bitch.
He just runs. Which
Buffy
is
hat guy, yeah.
Yeah, he's stupid, man. The worst thing you can do is like run away from your allies. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's good that they're threading out all these people.
They're getting rid of all the Alexandrians because they really don't make sense.
They're hard to eat.
Not that they don't make sense.
There's just too many of them to remember.
Yeah. I can't remember can't keep track of all these characters, and there's no point in really building them up because they're gonna just die anyways.
Yeah, they're weak. But yeah, anyway, after that scene, they end up getting into this town, which they're looking around and trying to find ways out because it doesn't seem like they even know where the hell they're going. I know it sounds like Nick obviously has like a general idea of where to go. Yeah. But everyone else is kind of a little bit lost. And they're looking and they turn down this alleyway. And as they come down this alleyway, they turn the corner and they see a bunch of walkers munching and eating their snack of Sturgis. Yeah. And then
first they find his hat on the floor and they're like, oh my God, it was his. And then they turn around the corner and there's his body and there's a bunch of people eating him.
It's great. Yeah. And then they turn back and there's a bunch of walkers coming in town and they take shelter in this little shop. And which is actually a pretty good place to take shelter. It's like this old pet shop
with dead cats inside it.
Yeah, they had like all the skeletons. It was pretty cool. But yeah, and there's a couple moments that like are important, I think, to touch on. One of them is between Heath and Michonne. And Heath, this whole time, he heard. I don't know. Do we tell where
he said? Yeah, he heard what Rick said.
Yeah, so Heath heard what Rick said, and Michonne confronts him like, "Hey, do you have a problem with me?" Because he's kind of given her attitude throughout this entire episode at the beginning. And then Michonne gives this big speech about, you haven't been through what we've been through. You don't know what I've gone through. And sometimes, you don't even, you have to do these things that you're not even proud of, essentially. And, I'm trying to think what she said about the blood. She was like,
she says, sometimes you've got a bunch of blood on your face and you don't even know if it's your friends or the enemies.
Yeah. And I was just like, damn. And you could tell, like, that was a reality check to him. He's like, holy shit. And it plays a part in this episode because towards the end of it, they're walking through this river, and he's looking at his reflection, and he's got blood on his face. And
that's at the very end, yeah. But they're in this pet shop. Then all of a sudden, first they hear gunfire, which it's kind of running in parallel with what's happened in episode 2.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
while Alexander's getting shot, it's mostly Carol shooting the guns at the wolves. And so that started attracting the attention and moving the herd. And it was a herd, like it was a lot.
Oh, it was a shitload of zombies
in there, so they couldn't just take them on. But they started hearing a commotion in like the closet, and then like there were 2 zombies, and they're probably the pet shop owners. And they, that made noise, and that attracted zombies to try to come into the pet shop. So they had no choice but to walk out.
Yeah, bust the door open. One thing to mention, obviously, Glenn makes the decision that, we're going to start a fire. We don't light one of these buildings up to, distract the mob.
Yeah.
So they go off, and he parts with Nick. Nick volunteers, I'm going to go with you. So that's how they end up getting into the pickle that we discussed earlier in the episode, where we get into the corridor. Apparently, one of the buildings that Nick takes Glenn to was burned down already. So they didn't have the opportunity to burn it down, which sucked. And, Nick's just freaking out, with all these zombies around, and ends up taking him down this fucking corridor, which essentially is like a death trap at that point. Because there's zombies on both sides, there's this freaking gated fence.
Yeah, they were about to climb the fence, and then there were zombies on that end. So then they had no way to turn back, and then they tried the door, and the door was locked.
Yeah, so it sucks. I mean, they're not in a good situation. And that's how, the downfall of all that plays out, where he just ends up killing himself and says thank you to Glenn. And
yeah, but to backtrack a little bit, they had Michonne was, because they had a guy that got bit during one of one of the other fights, and they didn't immediately kill him, which I was actually kind of surprised. Usually, you don't want to fuck around with that. Like he could have turned in the pet shop.
Yeah, absolutely.
No problem. But he got bit, and then he knows that he's gonna die eventually. So he writes like a goodbye note to his wife, and then Michonne writes a note on her arm saying, "You're gonna make it home. It's okay." She gives him hope.
Yeah, I mean, he pretty much wrote a note saying, Betsy, I love you.
If you got this letter, then
I didn't make
dead.
it. Yeah. And Michonne writes, you're gonna make it home. So, I mean, it was nice. I understand why.
I think Michonne's still hopeful. She was still more like Glenn, where like, we should save these people. They're not dead weight to us.
Yeah.
And that's, she also explains that to Heath too, that, we do care about you people. We're risking our lives for you people.
Yeah.
So, just, appreciate it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Like we're not against you. We're your friends, not your.
Yeah. But yeah, so then that guy wrote the note, but then she made him keep it. And so, once they get out, so Glenn are dealing with what they're dealing with. They have to leave, but then they also kind of get cornered, but they got lucky because they were able to climb the fence at the end of their.
That's true.
But Michonne was trying to be selfless, and she made
everyone go first.
She made Heath go first, and then the injured dude went over. Then her and the guy that got bit were trying to go over, but then they were getting
grabbed by the walkers.
And then the dude just couldn't handle it, I guess, and they ended up grabbing him down. And then it kind of reminded me of Noah's death when he was, because you can see him and he's screaming and just getting munched.
He's just blood everywhere.
Yeah, he's just bleeding. Yeah, and Heath's trying to shoot zombies off of Michonne, which I think that's when he gets the blood. But some of it did squirt. Some of the blood from the dude squirted on him. Yeah. When he was getting munched on.
Yeah, it was gnarly.
Yeah. Their effects have been amazing.
Yeah, this season's been great.
They really kicked it up a notch. So yeah, it's just the 3 of them now. They think and there was that other lady that was injured too. I think she just fell down and.
Yeah, she ended up dying immediately. She right at the shop, she stumbled, which she randomly just broke her ankle.
I was like.
Yeah, so you kind of know. Yeah. When you break your ankle that quick, you're not going to live much longer.
Yeah. So I don't even know her name either. So I mean, she was
pretty irrelevant at this point.
Yeah, and I'm glad they're getting rid of all these Alexanders because it's just too many people to keep track of.
Yeah, I mean the big thing with this episode is obviously Glenn's life is in question.
Yeah.
If not, like we don't know, and a lot of people died, and a lot of people keep dying. And the fact that this cuts back to Rick, and actually we should touch on this. Daryl ended up leaving the group.
Yeah, he was going to go back straight to Alexandria.
Yeah, after
he
this,
thinks they needed help.
Yeah, and then there's one thing where Rick's trying to get a hold of everybody on the radio.
And he's like, Glenn. This is after Glenn went down, and he doesn't hear Glenn, and then he's like, all right, we got to keep going. Stay the course.
Yeah.
And, Daryl doesn't tell him that he took off. But then I think it was Sasha was like, yeah, Daryl, stay the course.
Yeah.
But then like
you hear
he's about to say something again, and then all of a sudden
gunshot sounds.
Yeah. And then when this happened, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You're gonna kill Glenn and Rick in the same episode? Like, fuck this show. But no, but he rips him a new asshole. Like he fucks up the dude with the gun, and then they kill the other dude, and then like there's 3 more trying to sneak. He sees in the rear mirror. Oh, and he just like puts a full clip on through the RV, which sadly attracts a lot of zombies. So they start attacking the side of the RV, and I guess the battery died on the RV because he couldn't get it to start. But yeah, you don't mess with Rick. Like
no,
he's tough.
He's the worst person you probably want to come across.
That was the last person they wanted to try to gang up on.
He bites people and stuff.
Yeah.
He's just as bad as the walkers, man. But yeah, that happened, and it's kind of where it kind of left Rick off just like right there with the walkers.
Yeah, coming. It did bird's eye view.
Yeah, and then it did cut back to Daryl. Apparently, after Daryl heard the gunshots, he ended up turning around and staying the course.
You could hear on the radio that there was a commotion with Rick.
Yeah, so he ended up turning around and going back to Sasha and Arnold, and I think that's where the episode actually ended. Right there, it ended with the bird's eye view of them meeting again on the 2 roads, and it just panned out. And we did get closure that what's her name? Michonne and that group got to Alexandria.
Yeah, it shows them getting
at least back to the outside of Alexandria where the church was burned down and stuff.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see what happens when they get over there. I mean, I guess they're pretty much taking care of it, Alexandria.
Yeah, everything's it's more of just cleanup now, but they got bigger things to worry about right now. Obviously, next episode, nothing's safe right now in Alexandria. They have
I still think that horde of zombie that was in the town.
Oh, they're coming.
They're coming to Alexandria. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's a big place. Alexandria is huge, so it's going to be interesting to see how they defend it. Obviously, we'll see how strong these actual walls are that they built. We'll see if they can hold up.
I mean, it was able to hold a truck back, so I mean, they got to be pretty good.
True, but you never know. The freaking prison walls, dude. Even they didn't work, but they were aluminum.
The prison? They would go through and knife him every day. Yeah, I remember that.
But we'll see. I'm still interested. This season was awesome. This episode was kind of like, why?
I know, don't kill Glenn.
Yeah, out of all people,
he's from the second episode. He's one of the consistent characters in the whole show.
In downtown Atlanta.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. That was another thing too. Glenn's telling Rick the plan. Hey, we have to split up. Blah blah blah. So then he was like, "See you in a little bit, dumbass," which is what he said to him in the second episode. So that they did that on purpose because they knew they were foreshadowing later on. Glenn. Yeah, he's gonna die. But.
It's gonna be. Yeah, I'm really interested to see what happens next episode. It seems like we don't have everyone back together yet. It's still gonna be. It seems like back and forth between the groups until maybe we get reconnected and they cross each other's paths again. Which is okay. I think if there's one thing that I didn't like about this episode, it's kind of hard to understand where they are in time in correlation to where the other groups in time. Obviously, they have things like the horn and the gun signs or shots.
The gunshots, yeah.
But it's still hard to piece together, okay, are the wolves here? Because, when the wolves, got to Rick, I guess I didn't even know where Rick was. Obviously, that must have been quite some time after. Because...
because they were able to leave Alexandria.
Because Carol set a 45-minute timer. Yeah. That was a 45-minute period of just fucking hell, slaughter in the last episode, which is great. And if you haven't seen it, you should stop watching us and go watch it. This was amazing. But, so I'm just, curious. That's the one thing I kind of don't like about what they're doing. But at the same time, I still appreciate it because they're doing a really good job with all the content that's in the episode. It's amazing. And all the characters and even Glenn, being able to do that's what makes your show so great. You don't know who's safe. Any episode, anyone can die. and they really haven't done anything significant like this in The Walking Dead in a few seasons where it's been like, no, not this character. Because this is like the equivalent. I was telling them, this is the equivalent of killing somebody from season 1, which doesn't happen very often. Like most of the season 1 characters that made it through that season are still here.
There's only Rick, I guess Carl, Carol, Daryl, and then Glenn. That's it. I guess the last one they killed off was Andrea. Yeah. And then Merle, if you count him.
Merle counts.
Yeah. That was a great episode.
But Merle wasn't like he didn't hit you in the feels. He always
because he was kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
He kind of got what was coming.
But you felt bad for Daryl that episode.
Yeah, that's what made that so
Philly.
Yeah, because like Daryl's just crying.
Yeah.
It's so hard seeing Daryl cry.
Oh, absolutely.
He did that last season too, and it's just like.
Yeah. That was when
he had that attachment to Beth. You know, that hit him hard, but he got over it quick.
I mean, he's back on course, doing what he's got to do. You know, I don't know if I wouldn't say he's probably over it because I don't think you ever really get over death. I think you just cope with it and you learn to live with it.
Yeah, so he's just better at coping with it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a great episode. I'm excited to see what happens. Still, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm negative because that comment. I mean, that's just one thing that's just kind of confusing sometimes. It's like,
and then they showed in the preview of the next episode. They're not even gonna. It's not even gonna be in the present time. They're gonna show kind of Morgan's backstory. So I mean, there's not going to be much progression next week, which is good and bad because I kind of want to know, what Morgan's been up to, why he is the way he is, but I just want to know what happened.
Everyone wants to know.
They did that on purpose, yeah. So I mean, I guess we'll see. We'll talk about next week about how we think, how Morgan's backstory went.
Yeah, and we'll see if maybe it will go into some.
You think so? I don't think it will at all.
Some new content. I don't think they have to. This is going to be like a 12 episode season.
I don't know.
Somewhere around there, probably. Last season, I mean, we had the mid season premiere after 6 episodes. Is that right? And 6 more episodes.
Maybe, yeah.
Either way, it's going to be a long season. So, and we're only like a fourth of the way there.
Yeah.
Most likely. So it's going to be exciting to see what happens. And God. Dude, this season's been phenomenal so far. Yeah. It's probably been one of the best seasons I've seen.
Yeah.
Like ever. So they're doing a really good job and we appreciate you. Seriously.
Yeah, I do. They put a lot of hard work into it and it's paying off, man. It's still one of my favorite shows ever.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad. I'm so into this show right now. It's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, is there anything else you wanted to touch on?
I think that's it, honestly, for now. Thanks for watching, guys. Let us know what you think, too. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, we love having discussion with you guys, on what your thoughts are and how we saw it, So definitely comment on it, and we'll discuss.
Yeah, and thank you so much, guys, for helping our channel grow. We're honestly growing every day. It's cool looking at, our subs go up, our views go up, new comments, new likes. Even if you dislike, it's cool. I like any kind of activity going on our channel. It's really cool. And it motivates us to want to make more content for you guys. So
yeah,
if you want to see anything whatsoever, you want to see us talk about something specifically, let us know. We're always down to do things. We're open to suggestions. So.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we're signing off.
Episode 9.
See you next week.
This
was episode 9. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be hitting that decade of episodes. Oh man.
We're hitting the 10 mark.
That's cool.
Yeah, so see you next week.
See you guys.
See ya.